Hello, everyone. Welcome to our special International Women's Day 2026 segment. I'm your host, Olayinka Omotayo Fambegbe, aka Mrs. Fam, a social worker supporting women and families. So today, we celebrate women's achievements, discuss challenges, and explore how giving resources and opportunities empowers women and girls. Joining me on today's program, we have experts in the house, women who empower other women, social entrepreneurs supporting women led businesses. We have another guest who's going to be joining us on WhatsApp. Before we proceed to what International Women's Day mean to everyone, I would like to introduce my guest. I will mention their names, but they will be able to do the proper introduction themselves. So in the studio, I have Tony Babs Ali. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me. It's nice to be here.
Thank you so much. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Oh, well,
What you do, what you're about, you know.
professionally, I'm a social worker, so that goes without saying. Yeah, but in my social life, I have so many women under my wings. I mentor a lot of women, some of them spiritually, some of them guiding them, some newly married, some older married ones, and some who are nascent entrepreneurs as well. So, yeah, that's what I do with most of the people that come my way, especially younger women. And that's just it, really.
Thank you so much for that.
Very well.
We have our other guest in the studio with us is Abimbola Fashola. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me. I'm a social worker with Manchester City Council. Well, I can't really say I'm doing it officially, but in my own little way, I try to encourage women, empower them. And even back home before I came into the United Kingdom, I've tried as much as possible to empower those I can empower by giving them money to start little businesses and then not rely solely on their husbands. And before I even came completely, there was one that was initially, I think she was cleaning for a school. And then we had a chat and she needed to go into business. Later on, she said she can never go back to that again. She prefers what she's doing now. So, and I'm happy because she's progressing. I get feedback from her every time. And yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to introduce our third guest who has joined us via WhatsApp. She's currently in London, so that's why she's joining through WhatsApp. Abimbola Uvie J. Hallen. Hello, and nice to have you on the program.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, ladies. I'm not sure if you can hear me clearly. It seems like there's a glitch
We
on
can
my
hear you
side.
loud and clear. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Inka, for the opportunity. And I just want to thank you first for having me here and also to join all these powerful women that just introduced themselves. Um, as she said, my name is Abimbola Ubeje. I am an academia and I'm also an entrepreneur. I've got BA in business management, MBA University of Westminster, and at the moment embarking on research about organization, the behavior in organization, and also a bit of diversity, workplace bias at the moment. I also belong to the Chartered Management Institute of London. I'm deeply passionate about women's growth and deeply passionate about leadership and general well-being and anything well-being. And that has inspired me to create an initiative called We Eve Women. And Eve Women is Mean Every Woman. It's a platform dedicated to empowering women to thrive in every area of their life. And I'm also the founder of Eve Trends London, a fashion accessory brand that celebrates bold and confident expression of womanhood. And it's a privilege to be here today. Thank you for having me once again.
Thank you so much. Wow. I'm so honored. Look at the three powerful women I have with me on the show today. Wow. Let's start by understanding what International Women's Day is and why it matters globally. So, to our first guest, what does International Women's Day mean to you personally, and why is it so important globally?
International Women's Day. It's I believe it's a day given to celebrate women first, and then their strengths, their achievements, and then looking at the needs that may have been overlooked of women where they could actually thrive, expand, strengthen their basis. And of course, we know historically that women have been undermined. It's been really, what do they call it, the patriarchy all around. But women have shattered glass ceilings now, and it's still starting. It's just starting. We have not really gotten the hang of it. And all over the world, the girl child is still being I don't know what word to use. The girl child has not achieved their full strength in some parts of the world. And this is another time. The International Women's Day is a time to focus on such women, to see what gains have been made and what more needs to be done for the girl child. So International Women's Day is quite, it's more like a beam light, a searchlight in the lives of women, their achievements. First, to celebrate them. Second, to mentor them and to make sure that the girl child achieves their best potential, their highest goals in society, and that it is recognized.
Thank you. That's so insightful. Very well. Thank you so much. And to Abimbola, um, in your experience, how does International Women's Day impact women's opportunities in entrepreneurship and leadership?
First off, I think the day itself obviously is to recognize and honor achievement and strength, as well as contribution of women in society. So for someone in entrepreneur, um, it will be a time for them to showcase business, to appear as a woman of excellence. So I love platform. Just before joining this afternoon, I've seen a lot of people use this opportunity to project the business forward. So for entrepreneurs, it's a time to put us into limelight, to put women in business into limelight,
Correct. Yeah.
and and create that awareness. And somehow it's a day to also advocate for equality,
Yes.
um, especially for women in business, because business used to be a dominated aspect for the male gender. Over the years, when we are talking about, but we have a lot of women who have really broken ground, have conquered situation, have put their name on the map for us all, but their name and phrases are not being said enough. So
Not
a day like
enough.
this is a day to raise awareness, of the powerful things that we do underneath, and also how strong we are. And,
Yes.
it's just advocating for equality, to draw attention to the ongoing need for gender equalities, opportunities, fair treatment, and also to flag how we are shaping the society and the strength that we carry, that should not be undermined, even in the business world.
That should not be undermined. I like that statement. That should not be undermined. Thank you so much for that. And Abimbola Fashola, we have to clarify the Abimbolas now. We have to on the same program. So, but before I come to you, globally, women hold 28.8% of senior leadership positions. The gender parity will take 123 years at the current rate. This is from World Economic Forum. It says millions of girls are out of school and women are underrepresented in STEM and research. This is from UNESCO. So to our third guest, Abimbola Fashola, from your perspective in your community, what does International Women's Day signify to you, please?
Well, to me, International Women's Day, as we all know, and as the first two speakers had said, is creating awareness for the girl child to know how important they are in the society, and they shouldn't undermine themselves, because back then, in the days of our mothers, there is this orientation that they have that yes, men are the head of the family, but in the real sense now, women are really breaking ground. So we cannot always leave it to the men to take all the glory, because women are really achieving even more than expected. And then with the International Women's Day, is creating awareness for the girl child to know that yes, your voice matters, your achievement matters, you have to celebrate yourself, and then encourage program for those at the grassroots level to know that yes, you can do this for yourself. Don't let anybody put you down because you are in the village or you are at the grassroots level doesn't mean you cannot come out and do something for yourself
or reach your potential.
Or reach your potential. So International Women's Day is just an awareness to make women aware, and even girl child, that yes, you can get there if you are really, really focused on what you want to do.
Thank you so much for that. And back to our first guest. What do you see as the most pressing barriers for women today? The most pressing barriers.
I'm glad that you asked that, that you have asked that. Like Mrs. Ovie James has been saying, sorry, I'm not sure if that's the right title, Bimbola Ovie James. Yeah, like she has been saying, she's been really talking about women in business, and that is very crucial, really.
It is.
It is quite crucial. And, Abimbola Fashola just said something about the girl child. I'm very passionate about the girl child. And I know that for a woman to achieve true potential, really, for them to be able to claim their space on the business scene, in any management level, they have to first be aware as a girl child. Because I could see that a lot of things have changed considerably, but there are still pockets of improvement or advancement still make where the girl child is concerned. For instance, we have domesticated girl child to such an extent that they become the second mother in the house. They're not seeing potentials in themselves as they should, as a man is made to be made aware of what he stands to be as a responsible person, breadwinner, someone who has substance in themselves. So I am quite very strong about empowering the girl child from as young as they could be, to let them know that the world is an onion for them. The world is their onion. They could do whatever they wish to do without consideration for their gender, and I am a very good example of that, though we don't have the time to go into all of that. But the way I was raised, I had always done things like boys. I wanted to be like a boy, played sports and all of that. So I had lots of scars on and they would tell me, oh, who would marry you with all of these scars? Because then I used to climb trees and all of that. But I broke out of that myself because I realized I didn't have to be married, because what a girl child has been brought up to aspire to is a wife. Which I think is very limiting. You can be a wife and still be many other things.
So you mean like you're just being prepared for your husband's house?
That is it. And I know that myth has been shattered. We have so many women in business. We have seen a lot of women doing great things in business, occupying their spaces on management level, on professional skills and all of that. But there's still more to be done. I think
it does affect women, because they cannot access resources or grow professionally or start businesses because of the limitations.
No, that's where the witchcraft myth comes from. Because for a woman to get what is rightfully hers, she has to become a witch.
And do we still have some families who think, oh, you're a girl or you're a woman, I cannot send you to school, or you shouldn't do this kind of job, or you shouldn't do that kind of job?
Well,
does that still exist?
It does exist. Recently, we've seen what's happening in Iran. We've seen girl children. We've seen universities who can't drive. They can't go to universities. They can't even have education because of religion. So you see, it is still there. We give them so many names: religious culture, religious adherence. cultural adherence and all of that. So we still give them so many other names, but it is still there. It still exists today.
So there's still that economic inequality and limited
It's
mentorship
still there all over the
and
world.
lack of leadership opportunities for them.
Yes.
I'm going to come to you, Abimbola J. Allen. How do these challenges affect women's participation in leadership and decision making? These barriers, how does it affect women in their leadership and decision making?
First off, as my colleague would I say, the names are not easy to remember, so please forgive me. So,
Don't worry.
but I'm just sitting here and taking notes of things, and I like the fact that you have highlighted, the two of you actually highlighted the girl child. But let's take it to even the women.
Even the women.
Since today is International Women's Day,
Yes.
let's take it to the women. Let's take it to people who have escaped growing up and now here and taking up space and become challenged.
Yes.
A big challenge. So for me, first off, the question is how do
these challenges affect women's participation in leadership and decision making?
The truth is, thank you for reminding me that. First off, what are the challenges? The first of it, there is bias,
Yeah.
especially in workplace, even in religious settings. There are biases.
You're right.
There, and also even in the home, unconsciously, people got the blessed with male and female children unconsciously. If you have the one gender, you probably may not be able to relate. But if you do have a male and female as they are, unconsciously there are these things creep in. So to be honest with you, getting rid of this challenge has to do with educating the world and creating awareness. That's the thing, because there is no way to get rid of something if first you don't know that this thing exists.
You're right.
So if it exists, then how do we navigate getting rid of them? Now, sometimes decision makers also in workplace assume that women with children may be less committed to her career because of caregiving responsibilities. In recent time, it was this CNN news, I can't remember if it was Sky News, and this woman rose to a higher level of leadership. She worked all her life to get to that height, and then she suffered endometriosis problem, and she had to undergo surgery immediately, which led to her not being able to perform very well her work or to take some time off. But unknown to her, this company, while she was rising to that leadership, they told her at some point when they gave her the best worker of the year that, look, we're here to take you all through your career journey. We will be with you all from the heaven and back. They promised heaven and earth. But when this thing creeps in, the bias creeps in because of her problem, because of her private life. And it has nothing to do with the fact that she can walk. It has nothing to do with the fact that she cannot access that resources. Is the fact that somebody up there is a male gender and seeing her as, oh, now because this has befallen her, she's no longer capable of delivering. And so they took her job. Yeah, her job was taken away from her, and that she did well to take them to tribunal, and they fought and fought and fought for a while. She won the case, but there was no
That's good.
compensation.
Did you say no
Until
compensation?
recently, no compensation until recently that a medical personnel, discovered that endometriosis is actually a big problem. Whoever has suffered it and have been laid off work due to that reason must be compensated. So now they're trying to include it in the legislation. So, but how many people have suffered this before the woman got to this point? How many people? So I lost my job. I was laid off because I was caring for my child. So how many people who went through this ordeal are still in that dungeon and they're still there? So
we're still
thing
facing that inequality.
It's really right there. I know it's not as before, but when you look at it, employers, companies, they say, oh, it's equal opportunity. But is it equal opportunity? We have it's not equal opportunity. Let's be real. But the truth is, the best company, the best growth of a company, the best company in the world, I think at the moment is one of the companies rather doing well is Amazon. But if you look
Amazon.
at the Amazon workers, one of the highest leaders in the Amazon space are women. They are women. But to be honest, how did they get there? Some of them had to give up even getting married. So they had to sacrifice something to get something.
Everything.
They have to sacrifice something, some of them, and this is a major issue, and this is what International Women's Day is obviously
All
fighting
about.
against and
Yeah.
trying to, yeah, push the narrative that
Thank
we are
you.
here, we matter, we can do this. But
Thank you.
are the resources there? Yeah, they are there. Can they be accessible? Yes, somehow, but not 100%. I think the awareness, we need a lot. We still have we've come a long way, but we
Mm.
still have a long way to go. So,
Like
so
our
yeah,
first guest said, we're not there yet, but
yeah,
we're still very much in that process. Thank you so much for that.
100%.
Thank you. So our next guest, Abimbola Fashola, mentorship programs are limited. Women lack advocacy networks and funding. So in your community, what support systems work or are missing for women? What do you think is missing? What's that thing that's missing? What support networks are missing?
Okay, like you have said, mentorship, one of the most important one, and
Yeah.
then funding.
Yeah.
Because I can remember back home again, because that is where I spend most of my time.
Mm.
And you realize that some women are limited financially because they've not been able to work as they are supposed to work optimally. And then because most of them did not go to school. And even those that went to school, somehow it was truncated in between. Either she got pregnant or the dad said, I don't have money again to send you to school. So
school.
that limited her moving forward.
Yeah.
And so if there is no funding to encourage them to do businesses, then they still fall down below. And that's why I will bring all our discussion back to parents.
Parents.
Because if we are saying the girl child, the society is treating them this way, individuals as parents, what orientation have you given your girl child or your female or your male for the male to realize the fact that she is a girl doesn't mean she's lesser than you,
Yeah.
or that you have an upper hand over her. This is equality in gender. Whatever you can do, she can also do better, or she can also do equally. For instance, let me give a scenario. When I was still working in Nigeria, I was a supervisor then, but I have 4 male that was supervising. If I ask them to do anything, there is one particular, because he is an Igbo guy, he will tell me women don't control them in their village. So there was a time I told him, I said, I'm not going to tell you again, women don't control you in your village and you have come to this organization to work. Well, I'll tell you that I am still your supervisor here, and so I'm going to give you your love letter. So when you get your love letter, just write it there that women don't control you in your village, because it is still there. This mentality is still there with them that women can control them. So if parents can also give this orientation, and even the grassroots where this problem is generating from, because I know the cities are already orientated and the girl child are speaking for themselves. If you go to social media, you see them excelling. If this orientation is taken to the grassroots and we're able to tackle it from there, yeah, the mindset is tackled, then at least it will help them. Because I know this particular gentleman, if he grows with that mentality, that is what he will pass on to his male child and then the female child, to tell the female child, oh, you don't have a say because female don't control us in our village.
I see. So that mindset needs to be
changed.
Thank you so much for that. So I'm going to read a text. This question is from Olatunji Oluwadare. It says, thank you, Olatunji, for contributing to the program. It says, as Africans, what can be done to change the narrative of orientation of parents? You just mentioned parents. That investing heavily in a male child Olatuji, you should be in the studio with us because that's exactly what she's just spoke about. As Africans, what can be done to change the narrative or orientation of parents that investing heavily in a male child should be done equally with a female child? Again, he said, how do we protect the female children from pedophiles or expose them to sex education early in life or safety orientations? Who wants to take on that question, please?
While this is not the International Girls' Day, it's International Women's Day. I'm sure this is something that should be tackled differently. But like all that we have been saying is give a female child the sense of wholeness in herself. For instance, I have 9 to 12-year-olds that I take care of.
Okay.
And whatever. And I tell the girls that I give you the permission. Your parents will not give you permission to slap anybody that touches you when you don't want to be touched. And I told their parents, I've told your children to slap people. So please, if they have done it, come and meet me instead of them. You know, because we realize that things like you sit on my lap and all of those things. I think a girl child needs sex education early.
Yeah.
Let them know the parts of their bodies that nobody else has a right to see or touch. Once they have that,
when they are uncomfortable.
Yeah, even when they are not, when they are comfortable, because there's this thing called scruples. Some parents don't teach scruples to their children that this is it, and scruples comes from a sense of self-worth.
Right.
So some children grow up if they've grown up in some traumatic environment, they do not have scruples when it comes to if I'm comfortable with it. That's when I agree. But if I'm not comfortable with it, well, a girl should have a sense of wholeness in herself. No, I don't want that. I don't want it. From the beginning, they should know that no, you shouldn't touch me when I've not given you the permission to do it. So, I think people will always be sick when it comes to all of these things, but we need to guide our children. It's just like giving them the antibiotics, the vaccination before the disease comes.
You're
so
right.
Having sex talk with them, having that pep talk with them, because I know when I was growing up, we dared not bring anything up about sex with my grandmother because she raised me. It was a taboo, but it's no longer so. And if we don't tell them the right thing at home, they will go onto social media
to find out,
and they would get the wrong end of things. So I think that's just giving them.
I think this is a topic that we really, really have to dwell into, but not today. But thank you, Tunji. I'm going to read the other one from.
Sorry. Can I just buttress something?
Yes, please.
Saying, I know it's not the topic, but Yinka knows my heart in this area because and a lot of things is going on. The girl child in the home is, my sister was talking about, educating them early before you get there.
Yes.
But my point now is, I feel like that is one, but in order for that to be effective, the pet talk to be effective, we need to befriend our children from infant, even from when they're in the belly. We befriend them. They are friends, so they find it easy. Because sometimes I've been to an household where the mother has good way and what necessary to say, but the girl's not just willing to budge. She's not just interested because they're not close out. Now this woman's trying to bridge a gap to make her let's be friends now, but I feel like it's rather too late because the child there is no closeness between that child and the mother. So there is no closeness. So practical steps include obviously early encouragement from when they were little.
Yes.
Equal access to obviously mentorship for girls, and the first mentor of a girl child is the mother. The first mentor of a girl child is the mother. And also how do you celebrate yourself, even as yourself in the marriage? If you're going through any form of abuse from the father, and I'm talking about married home now, from the father, your girl child is mirroring this, and it silences their voice as well.
So the mother should make themselves approachable.
Exactly, approachable, and also create a safe space for the child to feel like I can draw from this well. So, for example, if the mother is going through abuse from the father and enduring it, you are telling the child it's okay to live like that.
You're right.
Whatever the child sees, so the first mentor of a child is a mother in the house. So you need to be able to also stand firm. How you stand firm? They say nowadays the children say standing on business. So when you stand on business, your child, if you know when the girls want to look at mirror, if you ever had a toddler, they mimic the parent. They mimic what
Yeah,
you're giving out to them. They mimic everything you do.
you're right.
So you in that stance is what gives you the chance to show this is what you should not take. So if you're allowing just anybody to talk you down in front of your child and you're saying nothing, whether their father, whether anyone, and you can't even
Indirectly, you're
stand
saying that's right.
indirectly, you're saying that's right. You can let people do this to you. And like safe space as well, like Mrs. says, creating a safe space, telling the child, and again that has to do also with the mother. Because if you're telling me don't do this, I'm also Mira, I'm also looking at your life. I'm also the when we were growing up, yeah, they even told us don't go near a man. If you go near a man, you get
You
pregnant.
get
I,
pregnant.
I interpreted it
Well, you
as
told that
the
as
moment
well.
they touch you. Yeah, that was how I interpreted it as, oh, if you were touched. So when I saw my first time I saw my period, I ran to the biology teacher. I'm pregnant because I'd been touched by a man. But genuinely, no man had touched me. They've only held my hand during my first of my cycle. So
I
so
think
it's
I
a
think
very,
we
very,
need
very,
I think we
you know,
need another day to fully
yeah.
discuss
But
this. Yes, yes,
just to
yes.
answer the gentleman,
Oh yeah.
it stems from the home.
It does.
It
It
stems
does.
from the home.
It
And
does.
taking away molestation, also giving them voice. Let's not
Mm.
shush them. And so I'm talking to you,
Yes.
shush. Let's
Yes.
control our emotions to allow them to speak and correct them in love. I mean, all these things coming
With
together
love.
will
Mm.
give them, yeah, yeah.
Oh, thank you so much for that. So I'm going to come back to our first guest here. How has giving mentorship or resources changed women's life? I can relate to that. How has giving mentorship
I think,
or resources changed? This has changed a lot of women's
yeah,
life.
women have always grown under mentorship.
Yes.
Women have always grown. They've always thrived
Yes.
under
I'm a
mentorship.
typical example.
Well, I don't know about that. Yeah, I think it's when you have women, people you can refer to, you can make references to,
Yes.
and who you've seen actually mentor women. I would say I grew up an orphan. I wasn't an orphan, and I will explain that. I grew up with so many kinds of people around me, and the only reference I had was my grandmother. She was
Okay.
educated, she was independent, and she did her things on her own terms, and coming from that background, I felt, well, if she could do all the things she did while she was alive, then I could do everything. But it was not a popular position then. I'm almost 60. I'll be 60 in January. So then, while I was growing up, it wasn't a popular position to take. So you see, so for in some places, I came out as too strong, too harsh, too brash, and in some places, I'm like, oh yeah, we don't want to deal with that now, But so right mentorship, letting women be themselves is it helps women to grow. I have seen cooperatives in places where women were downtrodden, and then they came up with what they could do with their hands, empowering them, mentoring them, teaching them how to manage resources,
Yes.
and how to do things for themselves. It actually goes a long way. Even now, there are a group of women that I'm actually talking through starting a business.
Yes.
Starting their own business. Like, you have to, when you come to this country and you have this COS head and brains, you are not looking that there are other things I can do. So
And there's
I
quite a
lot. Quite a lot. So I kind of open up the ground to them. I look for information for them. I
Very
tell
well.
them what can be done that's not gonna hurt you or your COS or whatever. You can start something. Everyone's got a gift. Everyone's got something they can do, and they can thrive in these things.
Yes.
And they
Why
can be
not?
better than what they are. Don't let your life be all about going to shift and then coming home, running the home. Do something that makes you feel worthwhile, fulfilled, worthy, and that's worth your time. You can do anything you want to do, and that's one of the things, because sometimes these things can be environmentally, or well, communally to say, environmentally relevant, because where the environment which you find yourself sometimes will determine how far you go or how limited you become. So I try to let them know, especially when they've just come into the country, that these are the opportunities you can do much more for yourself. You know, so mentorship is all about what can I do to help? Yes, information. What information can I give? How can I move this person forward? How can I help this person to understand that this is there?
Yes.
Yeah. So
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. I'll come to you, Abimbola Allen. What about supporting women-led businesses and leadership opportunities? I mean, when women succeed, the communities thrive. What's your take on that?
Well, to be honest, this is the thing. You just said what you just took the word right out of my mouth, because when you equip one woman, you are not equipping the woman alone. You are equipping the economy, you're equipping the household, you're equipping multiple, people across the board. And then you're actually equipping the society, because women, we are known for multiplying stuff. So whatever we have, we don't, if you give us, we're always thinking of how to multiply something. So if you give us goodness, we multiply it, so kindness, everything. And, it's just so much. And you cannot pour from an empty cup, really. So the more we have inside of us, the more we have to give. So that's where I'll say, in terms of support, in terms of entrepreneurship, in my area where I am, obviously, we were talking about mentorship just a few seconds ago.
Okay.
Well, in this area, it's something that is also lacking in terms of mentorship. And some people don't even know how to be a mentee. So we talk about mentorship. People hear it, but it's not ringing. Like, they don't even know how to be a mentee. Not everybody knows how to be a follower. Not everybody just know how I want to lead. So being a follower will allow you also to know that these resources are there for me to tap into. As much as we're saying there's not much resources are available. So first off, the willingness, again, that's where the awareness comes into play.
The willingness.
Creating awareness, the willingness to say, I want to be upgraded. I want to do this. And in our community, in the BAME community, the Black, Asian, and ethnic minority community, we find something that women need to also lower their guard so that they can be poured into. So when we don't have room for growth, then how can we grow? So even for that resources to multiply, first off, the community we're seeking the help from must also see that we are ready to be poured into. So I think that this community should be, and again, don't blame us. Sometimes it could be the way we were brought up and we just don't know how to.
Everybody wants to lead.
Because everybody wants to lead. And sometimes people feel like when you come and seek support or want to become a mentee, then maybe you are weak, maybe it's a sign of weakness.
And it's
not.
So
people are shying away from.
Thank you so much for that.
So just on the back of that, she's really opened it up and I really appreciate that. It's apparent, it's quite obvious that she's had a lot to deal with women and our what do we call the way we present. And I think we need to address that thing that is very peculiar to us, especially Nigerians. We have this sense of, I don't know how to put it. We don't want to submit to learning. We kind of see it as a weakness. Like, why should she teach me? We have a problem with status.
I think so too.
I wanted to say that.
Yeah. I
didn't know she was good. Yeah, because I know.
Thank you for raising that point. Honestly, it's debatable.
It's true. Yeah. Not everyone knows how to follow. Really. And they don't realize that if you're a good follower, you'll be a good leader. They don't get it. So I think all of us together, we need to find a way to break that ground, because it's fallow. It's not helping anybody.
It is not.
It's not.
That
because while people have needs, they don't want to appear, because appearance is more important. They don't want to appear as if they have needs.
That is it.
And it makes it difficult for someone who wants to help because she did say that you just have to, you can't pour out of an empty cup.
No.
Yeah, and you have so much to give, but the people you want to give to, they're making do as if, okay, I've got enough. I don't need from
Do
you.
you know who I am?
So yeah, I think it's
Do you know
something
where
we
I'm
need-
coming from?
Yeah, and I think it's something we need to address. Pride is not going to lead anyone anywhere. It's one of the problems we have as women.
Yeah.
So, and I think, yeah. So thank you so much for that, really.
Yeah, I think it's factually correct. And the other lady, Bimbo, too,
Yes.
is also correct. Because I can give a very good example, just very close example. About a month ago, the lady accosted me while coming on the road. She said, please, I need a job. I need you to help me if I can. I said, well, the only thing I can do is just to give you some numbers to call the agency. Give her this number today. Give it to somebody else. The person called around 11 o'clock. Somebody picked up from that thing and said, okay, tomorrow I'll send it to our HR. I have to be running after her to say, have you called them? Oh, my phone was bad. Call her again. Oh, I'll call them. Oh, they call me this. Giving different excuses. Just like you said, she needs it. She doesn't want to appreciate what you have done to her, and then she keep giving excuses one after the other and say, oh, then there was a time I stopped that. She now wrote a job, a dami loan, but I didn't open it because I think I've done enough. It's as if you know you are gaining something out of it. But you need this. You told me you just came back and they are exchanging money from Nigeria for you to pay for your house rent. So I felt like, no, you should get something to do for yourself. But she doesn't really need it. And it is basically from people in Nigeria.
And I'm
The
sure
female in Nigeria,
listening to
that
this
is
kind
what
of
they do.
programs,
Yeah.
people would, kind of reflect and, move on. So I want to believe that every act of giving time, mentorship, knowledge, or support creates ripple effects that empower women and strengthen communities. I just wanted to say thank you to everyone, all the guests, either via WhatsApp, in the studio with me. Thank you so much for sharing your insight with me today. So we want to continue to mentor, to invest, to advocate, and support women-led initiative. Give to gain, which is the theme for this year, Women's International Day, and empower women everywhere. I repeat, to empower women everywhere. So thank you all for coming on today's program.